Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the distinguished dignitaries, respected speakers, faculty members, scholars, and participants. As we gather here this afternoon, we arrive at the valedictory session of the International Conference on Integrating Legal Frameworks and Management Strategies, Pathways to a Greener, Sustainable Northeast India. Over the past 3 days, this conference has served as a vibrant platform for intellectual exchange, critical reflection, and collaborative dialogue. Today, we come together to reflect upon this enriching journey and formally conclude the conference. I request the dignitaries to please take their seats in the dais. I request our respected Vice Chancellor, sir, to please felicitate our chief guest of the day, Mr. Debashish Chakraborty. Thank you, sir. To begin this session, may I now respectfully invite our founding Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Yogesh Pratap Singh, to kindly deliver the presidential address.
Very good afternoon, respected Shri Debashish Chakraborty ji, the chief guest of this valedictory session, Dr. Dibyendu Chattoraj, head of the department, University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, other distinguished faculty members from University of Engineering and Management, respected participants, delegates, colleagues, registrar, and dear students, I welcome all of you to this valedictory session of this 3-day international conference on integrating legal framework and management strategies, pathways to a greener, sustainable Northeast, greener and sustainable Tripura. We are now going to conclude this 3-day conference, but I think it is not conclusion, it is the beginning of the efforts, beginning of the thinking which we have started, that we will take this discourse forward so that we can ensure, because this is a global threat. This is a threat to northeastern region. This is a threat to state of Tripura. And the experiences which people share in Tripura, including the judge who came in the inaugural session, he shared the experience of Kashmir, that what was the situation in 2014 and what is the situation now. Similarly, when I came here, sir, in 2022, that time the kind of heat, the summer we witnessed, so all the people around me, they told me that this is happening after so many years. This kind of summer we have not witnessed in Tripura. So climate is changing and we are facing a serious threat. And responsibility is not only on the government. It is not the job of the government only to protect the environment and to preserve the natural resources. I mentioned in my inaugural welcome address that Constitution has imposed this responsibility on each one of us. Article 48A of the Constitution imposes responsibility on the government, the state. They have to strive to protect our environment, and government is doing to the best possible way. But it is our duty also, and one of the fundamental duties which Constitution has lately incorporated by 42nd Amendment, it is our duty that we should preserve, we should protect, we should defend our environment, our natural resources. And as a law student, I keep on telling every time that we have bigger responsibility. Maybe management students, they may not be aware of this legal fundamental duty. The management or engineering discipline student, medicine student, he is not aware of the fundamental rights and fundamental duties and the kind of obligation Constitution has given, the kind of obligation Supreme Court has now created. Public trust doctrine, polluter pays principle. Engineering students, he may not be aware. Ordinary laymen, they may not be aware. But as a law students, we have a bigger responsibility to educate people. Whenever you get opportunity, when you interact with other people, you are not only lawyers, we call it social engineers. Lawyers are social engineers. So you take that responsibility on your soldiers. In the past 2.5 days conference, we have engaged in meaningful discussions on a wide spectrum of issues ranging from environmental governance, climate change, biodiversity conservation to institutional mechanism, policy frameworks and sustainable management practices. We have learned so many things. The conference has truly personified the spirit of interdisciplinary dialogue, interdisciplinary debate and discourse, which new education policy emphasizes so much. The first outcome, I think, this conference, the first takeaway of this conference would be that law alone cannot solve this problem. Law alone cannot be a solution for all the problems. And that is why we thought that we will collaborate with the management and engineering school. And we collaborated in this endeavor with University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, so that we can integrate the knowledge. Sir, we are integrating knowledge. Law, legal discipline is trying to integrate with all the disciplines. So we integrate with social science. We teach BA LLB course where we teach humanity and law. We integrate with management strategy. We teach BBA LLB course. We teach BCom LLB where we teach commerce, and we are teaching science and law. So we are integrating now science, medicine with law. Because I told you, law cannot be a solution to all kinds of problems. We have to find other ways also. So this was probably one of the significant takeaway, that laws alone are not sufficient unless supported by effective implementation, sound administrative strategies, and active community participation. Equally, management practices must be rooted in legal principles that ensure environmental justice and protect the rights of vulnerable community. 1/3 population of this state belongs to scheduled tribe, and we have to think their interest also. In the name of development we are doing, and we need development. We need good airport, we need good road, we need bridges, we need all kinds of infrastructure, malls, but without compromising with the interest of the indigenous community, without compromising the interest of the tribal community in the state. I was particularly encouraged by the emphasis given by the keynote speakers in this conference, by the papers who were presented, the context-specific solution, and all the speakers, keynote speakers, they kept Tripura in the context. That you have in the title of the conference, we have mentioned Sustainable Northeast India, Northeastern region. And some speakers, they suggested that even that topic is broad. So you should be more specific, because problems of Tripura is very specific and we need a specific solution for Tripura. So that also we have to keep in mind. I would request the organizing committee, Dr. Ripan, Dr. Bandita, the faculty members from University of Engineering and Management who were part of the organizing committee, to find out and to draft and document the recommendations which are specific to the state of Tripura, so that we can submit it. This conference was supported by Department of Forest Environment, Government of Tripura. So we can submit these recommendations to the state of Tripura, Government of Tripura, so that they can also deliberate and they can also think on these challenges and these possible solutions which the keynote speakers and the researchers from different universities, different parts of India, they have suggested during this conference. I hope that the deliberations and the ideas which are generated during this conference will not remain confined to academic discussions, will also translate into concrete policy recommendation, and that is why collaborating with the government department will be very useful. And I also request organizing committee that this should not be a one-time effort. This is not a effort only for the sake of organizing conference. This happens in most of the universities, that because you get NEC benefits, you get ranking benefits, so you need to organize conferences, and then you organize conference for the purpose of getting some benefit. But this should not be the goal. The goal should be to find out the solution for the problem which we are facing, which our society is facing, the challenges which our state is facing. So this should be a continuous exercise. So we can plan, we can start planning, take the feedback from all the stakeholders of this conference, take the feedbacks from the resource person, take feedbacks from all the resource persons who chair the technical session, and also take, if possible, feedback from all the participants, so that next time when we start and when we plan the second edition of this conference, we can rectify those problems. So it means we will continue this exercise, we will continue this work in collaboration with University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. I take this opportunity also to thank all the keynote speakers, very learned people, Professor M.K. Ramesh, Professor Shanta Kumar. They are known in environmental law for their contribution. All the resource persons who chaired the technical session, they were also experts in environmental law. So we very deliberately and very cautiously we identified people for chairing the technical session. It was not that anybody from any discipline can chair. So we identified people who have worked in environmental law, environmental governance, environmental science from different parts of the country, and they chaired the technical session. And I was very happy to learn that these people, they shared that they were very happy with the kind of papers we have received in this conference. And sir, it was very good response. We received around 100 full papers. Registrations were, I think it was 150, but we rejected few papers, and then finally when it comes to submission of full papers, then people often they can't do that. But we received more than 90 or 95, I was getting the information, full papers. And we will be coming out with the edited volume. We have already signed MOU with the publisher, very renowned publisher. So I am very grateful to all the keynote speakers, all the learned chairs who chaired the technical session. I am also grateful to University of Engineering and Management for collaboration, especially Professor Banani Chakraborty, the Chancellor, and Vice Chancellor Professor Satyajit Chakraborty. I am very grateful and thankful to 4 faculty members who were part of the organizing committee: Dr. Shravana Chattopadhyay, Dr. Victor Nayak, Dr. Shaikat Chakraborty, and Dr. Divyendu Chattoraj, who were part of the organizing committee and who worked very hard to make this conference a success. I also take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the distinguished participants who presented papers during this conference, and my colleagues Dr. Ripan Bandita and all the people who helped Dr. Ripan. I was after Dr. Ripan last 1 year that your center, we have a center for environmental law in the university, and I was telling Ripan from last not 1 year, when I joined, I started doing that you have to organize conference now. And finally he did. So good clapping for Dr. Ripan, Dr. Bandita and his team, and we'll continue Ripan. So this is not that you have done and this time and this work is over. So maybe next year, April, same time, same week, you can block that every year this time, this week we will organize this environmental law conference. Okay? So that NLU Tripura and University of Engineering and Kolkata relationship continues, and we should help our government, we should help our department in policy making, that how we can support them, how we can. I told you that it is not a responsibility only of the government, it is a collective responsibility which we have to discharge, and this is a serious concern. So with these I welcome all of you, and I thank all the people who supported, who worked in this conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful address. It is now time for the eminent address. May I invite Professor Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, Dean, Department of Law, IIIJS, UEM, Kolkata, to kindly address the gathering. Sir, please unmute yourself.
I am speaking from another connection. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. And I think, all the education institutions must take this very seriously and join hands to make a real difference in how we can take the next 75 years ahead of us. So I must congratulate, the NLU Tripura and the visionary Vice Chancellor, sir, to take up this initiative of bridging the gap between technology management and law, and gave us this little podium to talk and share our thoughts and research. And I'm sure that we'll all again participate together to come up with certain more constructive volumes, like in the form of a book, as Sir has rightly highlighted before me. And give the opportunity to young scholars to also look into the problem that we're all in and how we can really come up with certain solutions. So I really thank everybody from NLU Tripura and the founding Vice Chancellor, sir, and the founding Registrar, sir, to take this initiative forward. I thank my brother Rizwan, who has been a part of this institution again, and taking the responsibility of research also to some extent. I thank everybody from my university and the University of National Law Tripura together. And I must again say, the initial keynote speeches of the Vice Chancellor of NLU Gujarat and our Amisa has been phenomenal. Thank you for bringing the stalwarts again on the dais and giving us an opportunity to make it. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Dr. Virendra Chaturaj, convener at this conference hall.
Department of Business Administration, IEM, UEM, Kolkata, India, to kindly address the gathering.
Good afternoon to all my senior professors, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Dr. Jogesh Pratap Singh Sir, Honorable Registrar Sir, Professor Dr. Ruchilata Mittal Sir, and our Chief Guest Sir, Mr. Devashish Chakraborty, retired Chief Conservator Forest, and my colleague from UM, Professor Dr. Samudra Chakraborty Sir, who has just joined through online mode. Also, this is I must welcome all my colleagues, students, researchers, and presenters. So this is the first time going with the word, as our Chancellor Sir said, plenary session is the concluding session. So what we are concluding? We are concluding only this particular conference. We are not concluding the concept, the theme, the aim, objective, goal we have started before the conference. To strengthen the ecological system, to protect the environmental degradation primarily in the northeast India and throughout India, and it is global one. That will goes on. Our endeavor to protect the environment all over the world should go on. And that is the where we can say this is not conclusion, this is the beginning of the brainstorming among us, primarily among the students, to finding some solution how we can mitigate from technical point of view, from legal point of view, and from management point of view, the different problems, different challenges we may face now and in future. This is the beginning of finding some new innovations. When we say innovations, it generally comes into our mind that
innovation means newness. So everywhere, even in our daily thinking, try to find out, or we will try to find out something new, innovation, so that we can protect our mother earth. So that is the beginning. And as a event, surely as I said, and that's a good one, that it is the number one conference next year. Hopefully, we will do it and with more perfection, better execution, and stupendous outcome. So another thing which comes into our mind is that actually I have gone through certain plenary sessions and presentation sessions also. Though I am not from the neither from legal fraternity, my background supports the management one. So when I am chairing one particular session where I have found the students from the first year and second year, they have participated. They have done a tremendous job by putting different kind of technical related to environment and legal related. Maybe technically I have not gone through their ideas, but what they have done, how they have presented, that's a tremendous. This is really great for learning experience. I hope they will continue with their presentation, research with the supervisor. And that actually we want from conference. Conference is not a event. It's just a beginning to find something new. In this juncture, I am very much grateful to my Chancellor Ma'am, Professor Vanani Chakraborty, and my Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Dr. Tuttuli Chakraborty Sir, who actually provide us the permission as well as the right motivation to
go ahead with this kind of collaboration with National Law University Tripura, and which ultimately made a huge success.
In this junction also, I surely congratulate, grateful to my colleagues from EUM, Professor Dr. Sarvada, Professor Victor Naik, and Professor Dr. Professor Chakraborty, who done a tremendous job. Now, just I will give you one example of what kind of job they have done. We have in a management system, we have studied or generally gives some management theories. That is called iceberg theory. So where the tip only 1/11 of the iceberg is actually shown. And you have seen in the title movie also. There are 10 by 11 is inside the sea. Water. So when you see the success of a conference, that is the one thing. That less than by 11 actually done by my colleagues, I have not done so much. That is for various reasons. So I'm very much thankful to Shravana and Victor sir, and from this side surely Dr. Rivan sir and Dr. Bhavita. Thank you, one. So that I can say, if I get a chance to come here, surely be here, and Chancellor sir will go ahead with our pre-commitment to make further some kinds of improvement so that we can get some ideas, knowledge in this. And one thing I never mentioned, one of my degree I am just saying here, which somehow came into help us when I am chairing the session. I am masters in ecological environment. So the terms I have found is, at least I know this. Certain cases they have said at the time of presentation, which I am also read when I have done master. But I never use this degree in my portfolio because it is somehow nowhere linked to my actual domain because I am a teacher of marketing and operations management. Okay? So again, I thank you all and thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We now move to the valedictory address. May valedictory address by Mr. Dimashi Chakraborty, IFS retired. He is the Chief Conservator of Forest and Chairman Forest and Chairman Bhavans Agartala Kendra. To kindly deliver the valedictory address, Sir is the apt person to deliver the valedictory address and concluding remarks for this 3-day national conference.
Very good afternoon to all present here. Honorable Vice Chancellor sir, Honorable Register sir, and Dr. Vijayendra from IIM Kolkata, faculty members, and I will be looking very much for dear students. I am a professor, I am not give a lecture. I simply experience, share my experience with you because you are the generation who will take the society ahead. I start everywhere with my age, with my experience in the field, that we know so many things, but we understand very little. And nobody agree with me. We know that from past 3, I know that a tree, a green vegetation can give only oxygen, no one can. But knowing fully well, we've seen this light, how delicious we are with that tree. And this is our response about the climate changes, people are also and all this. First, I would like to say my regards to the judiciary system, the students, you may not be knowing, in Northeastern region, the control of female training was done from the judiciary system. Honorable Chief Justice went to Arunachal. It was probably 91, 92. I was in service. And he has seen that there in Arunachal, the permit is issued by a community, not by the government officers or so they stopped it for 2 years. There was no tree cutting for 2 years. And from that time onward, in Northeastern region, we are very much conservative and credit goes to the judiciary system. I will give an example.
of Stephen Hawking, a physicist. He told, if there is no butterfly, if there is no bees, human population will not survive another 200 years. This is fact, because there will not be any pollination, fertilization, no crop, it will be there. And I have deliberately kept the photograph of the animals here because we are in the same system, and with two motives. One is that this is a part of the nature. Our second motive is that after lunch, the session is very difficult to control. So I wanted to make it little bit colorful. I will take the reference of VC sir. He was telling the condition of the hills and the tree in Tripura and all this. If you see the Hindu Kush, Himalaya, then come to Himachal and all this. When you come to northeastern region, the geology changes. And Tripura especially, you will find it that it was part of Bay of Bengal. And geologically, it is very recent in origin. So advantage we have in Tripura, the soil depth is very good. So one of my senior used to tell that ये आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि उसका रूट नीचे रहे, बस और कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए आपको. So we are blessed in Tripura. So we need to do something for our state, for our country, and for the nation. क्योंकि Ethiopia was not like Ethiopia, not what we see. There is no rain for 20 years. 300 years back, some king came and he cut all the trees, sold it. And that is the result of Ethiopia. We don't like to be second example. And do you know, I will be interacting with the students only. In Rwanda, Burundi, the water permit is given by the minister. I have 2 in my family, I will get 2 liters of water, not more than that. And minister is issuing the water permit. This is the situation. And as I told that we are lucky, especially in our country. And before I start anything, we'll see our defects. And VC sir has told how forests are cut. We are making buildings, we are making agricultural lands, etc. So you will ask me a question that should not be there any development? There should be development, but there is always a rules for compromise. It is scientifically seen that if 30% area can be kept under forest, then our environment is safe. Now, if we go to the next slide, habitat conservation, restoration and monitoring, that is very important. Next. What is habitat? Is a place where we all live, animal, human being. This is habitat. So we are practically destroying our own house. Forest and importance. Home for all, physical structure of forest affects both global and local climate. And you see, it yearly absorbs carbon dioxide in the tune of 7.6 gigatons, making us safe, healthier. Impacting resilience of agri and other crop productivity. Water and air quality. Here is our defects. Every year, roughly 10 million hectares of forest, an area equal to size of a Portugal, a country, is cut every year. Just imagine. And as Sir has mentioned it, that the kind of heat, in the summer heat was in Agartala. And you will mark it, then now the rate of cyclone is more every year from Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea. It is simply, remember it, if the sea level temperature goes above 26 degree, there will be cyclonic formation. And that is happening because of deforestation. See, in Central Africa and South America, increase is average by 7 to 8 degrees centigrade. Rainfall decrease by 50%. And one thing you know, have you seen Boromura area? No, this area, Boromura. It takes 2.5 hours. The water starts from Boromura, goes to Bangladesh, giving no benefit to us. Because it's a tree, it helps like an umbrella, canopy, water is dripping, and Mandai area, which is foothills of Boromura, is drying. Water table has gone down. See, this is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons. And this is one of the reasons. You can see in Agartala, in last 10 years, number of multi-story building came. Yes, there is need, but as I said, that there is a formula of compromise also. We can share it. There is no problem. See how this area is cut. Do you know a tiger requires 80 square kilometer minimum for its survival? So in the earlier side, if you see in the fragmentation of forest, if a species is there, he will not survive after 2 years because he will not have sufficient area for his well-being, reproduction and all this. So we can always, priority area, we can secure it to maintain the biodiversity, mitigate and manage induced and cumulative effect across the landscape, restore degraded ecosystem, avoid and minimize future impacts. We have to do it. We can restore. An advantage is that, I was giving an example, this pygmy hog, you might have heard the name, a small like animal, pygmy hog, it is found only in Assam area. And it was thought that it is extinct. But because of the Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, again this animal came back. But the simple thing, identifying damaged habitats, implementing restoring projects, raising awareness and advocacy, educating public and on wildlife conservation and other biodiversity conservation. Tasks ahead. We'll have to think for biodiversity conservation, restore it. This all written in a format that we need to do biodiversity conservation. But about leaders of 90 countries, they have promised that we will make a world which will be full of biodiversity and nature positive world. Nature will be there with us. We will grow, nature will also grow. Before I end, my request to my students, do an exercise at home. As I told in the first, that tree only can give oxygen, but we are cutting the tree. do an exercise yourself. I am hospitalized in GB hospital. I require at least 2 oxygen cylinders costing 1500 rupees daily. Multiply it, my age is almost 70. Multiply into year, multiply into age, and I have 5 family members. Multiply, it will come around 35 crores for a single person. So as a forester, whenever I was invited anywhere, I told the young students, if your father can give 35 crore, then cut all forest. After that also will die. But if it is not, the easy solution is what? Giving 35 crore is not the easy solution. Easy solution, restore it. And once again, thank you very much for giving me a chance to tell something in front of our new generation. And the moment NLU came here, by the grace of God, Bhavans and NLU goes hand to hand, and it will remain forever. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we proceed further, we are pleased to announce that there will be a formal signing of Memorandum of Understanding between National Law University Tripura and the University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. I request the dignitaries to please come forward for the MOU signing. Thank you, everyone. We now come to the final segment of today's session. May I invite Dr. Ripon Bhattacharjee, Convener ILFMS 2026, to present the conference report and deliver the vote of thanks.
Hello. A very good afternoon to all of you. Distinguished guests, esteemed keynote speakers, honorable chairs and co-chairs, faculty members, researchers and delegates. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my privilege and honor to present this summary report of our 3-day international conference. what began as an ambitious interdisciplinary endeavor between two distinguished institutions, National Law University Tripura and the University of Engineering and Management Kolkata under IEM UEM group, has over these 3 days fulfilled and indeed exceeded its promise. The conference themed Integrating Legal Frameworks and Management Strategies, Pathways to a Greener Sustainable Northeast India, drew scholars, legal experts, policy researchers, and practitioners from across India and abroad. It served as a vital forum to examine the ecological, legal, and socio-economic imperatives of sustainable development in one of the world's most ecologically sensitive regions. We are deeply grateful to all who contributed their scholarship, their time, and their passion to making this conference the success it has been. The conference was privileged to receive insights from 8 distinguished keynote speakers whose addresses collectively established the intellectual framework for all subsequent deliberations. Professor Dr. S. Santakumar, Director, Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar, India, offered a rigorous jurisprudential perspective on environmental governance, while Professor Dr. M. K. Ramesh, former Vice Chancellor, National Law School of India University, NLSIU, Bangalore, India, examined how India's premier legal institution must respond to the growing interface between law, ecology, and climate governance. Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Sinha, Vice Chancellor, Dharmashastra National Law University, DNLU, Jabalpur, India, brought a constitutional and rights-based lens to sustainable development, underscoring state obligations towards environmentally vulnerable populations. Dr. Sumanta Chakravarti, Registrar, Maharaja Bir Bikram University, Agartala, Tripura, India, lent a regionally grounded perspective addressing the specific institutional and legal challenges faced by Northeast Indian states. From the international arena, Dr. Eghosha Ekhatar, Associate Professor, University of Derby, United Kingdom, contributed a comparative dimension on environmental rights frameworks in post-colonial contexts, while Dr. Jean Claude and Ashokhem, Senior Lecturer, Oliver Schreiner School of Law, University of the Witwatersrand, South Africa, enriched deliberation with a global South perspective on environmental constitutionalism and community-based natural resource governance. Dr. Ishita Chatterjee, professor from University of Calcutta, brought an invaluable interdisciplinary contribution examining the psychological dimensions of climate vulnerability and community resilience. Dr. Shoumi Gangopadhyay, Professor, Department of Business Administration, IIM Kolkata, India, addressed the interface between corporate management, ESG frameworks, and sustainable business practices. Together, the 8 addresses spanned constitutional jurisprudence, international environmental law, applied psychology, and corporate governance, providing the conference a rich and multidimensional intellectual foundation. Next, coming to the technical session reports. The conference's technical deliberations spent 10 sessions featuring nearly 100 research presentations, collectively examining the legal governance and socio-ecological dimensions of sustainable development in Northeast India. A dominant theme across all sessions was the failure of centralized uniform legislation to address the region's ecological and cultural specificities. Presenters consistently documented the exclusion of indigenous and customary knowledge from formal governance, despite evidence that customary legal frameworks outperform statutory ones in actual conservation outcomes. Significant research established the disproportionate burden borne by women and tribal communities from climate impacts alongside their near total exclusion from policy forums. Critical legal gaps were identified across disaster management, biodiversity governance, corporate social responsibility, and environmental clearance frameworks. Less than 2% of the national CSR funds reached the 8 Northeast states over the past decades, and over 3,877 square kilometers of forest cover were lost in the same period. Emerging concerns around data privacy, algorithmic governance, and AI-driven environmental management also featured prominently. Recommendations across sessions converged on participatory, pluralistic and regionally calibrated governments, calling for legal recognition of climate refuges, integration of the traditional knowledge into climate law, gender inclusive climate action, and the reaffirming of the climate literacy as a foundational competency in legal education. Coming to the consolidated observations and the outcomes, cross-cutting themes. Across all the technical sessions, certain themes recurred with remarkable consistency, reflecting the shared intellectual concerns of the scholarly community gathered here. First, the failure of one-size-fits-all legislation to address the ecological, cultural, and constitutional specificities of Northeast India, whether in environmental clearances, disaster management, or CSR frameworks, was identified as the central structural challenge of the region. Second, the systematic exclusion of indigenous and customary knowledge from formal governance processes was documented across every domain, from climate data systems and biodiversity management to forest governance and project clearances. Presenters were unanimous that this exclusion is not merely unjust but counterproductive. Customary legal frameworks were shown in multiple studies to outperform statutory ones in actual conservation outcomes. Third, the disproportionate burden borne by women and tribal communities from climate impacts, combined with their near total exclusion from climate governance forums, was a theme that ran through sessions on gender justice, CSR equity, biodiversity rights, and climate displacement alike. Fourth, an emerging cluster of concerns around data governance, privacy, and algorithmic accountability in environmental management pointed to a frontier of legal and ethical challenge that India's existing frameworks are not yet equipped to address. Fifth, and finally, the conference affirmed that interdisciplinary collaboration, the very premise upon which this joint endeavor between NLU Tripura and UEM Kolkata was built, is not merely academically desirable but institutionally essential if the complex challenges of sustainable development in Northeast India are to be meaningfully addressed. As we draw the curtains on what has been intellectually enriching and truly memorable, 3 days it falls upon me to express my deepest gratitude to everyone whose vision, effort, and dedication made ILFMS 2026 a resounding success. I begin my placing on record by placing on record my sincere thanks to our conference patrons, Professor Dr. Yogesh Pratap Singh, the founding Vice Chancellor, National Law University Tripura, and Professor Benani Chakravarti, and Professor Satyajit Chakravarti, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, respectively, for their unwavering institutional support and the confidence they placed in this collaborative endeavor. I am equally grateful to our advisors, Professor Dr. Nachiketa Mittal, the Registrar of NLU Tripura, and Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakravarti, Professor and Dean, Department of Law, IIIJS, Kolkata, whose steady guidance and insights proved invaluable at every stage of organizing the conference. I also sincerely thank Engineer Aparajita Banerjee, Assistant Registrar of NLU Tripura, whose administrative wisdom and support was equally potent and important for the event. My heartfelt appreciation goes to Dr. Shravana Chattopadhyay, Organizing Secretary of the ILFMS 2026, Assistant HOD, Department of Law, IIIJS UEM Kolkata, whose tireless commitment, meticulous planning, and quiet resolve were the true driving force behind ILFMS 2026. And I'm also thankful to Mr. Victor Nayak, Assistant Professor of Law at UEM Kolkata, for his constant support. I thank my fellow conveners, Dr. Bandita Sengupta of NLU Tripura, Dr. Dibindu Chattaraj, and Dr. Shoikat Chakrabarti from the Department of Business Administration, UEM Kolkata, for their collegiately and shared dedication throughout. I sincerely express my heartfelt gratitude to all the resource persons who chaired the technical sessions and provided their critical viewpoints along with their important feedback to the budding researcher for their excellent research work that they have done in the novel dimension of the theme of the conference. I acknowledge with a deep gratitude the faculty members of NLU Tripura and the Department of Law and Business Administration of UEM Kolkata, whose scholarly engagement and organizational support gave this conference its academic credibility. I also had heartily thank the director of the Tripura Judicial Academy and his team for their valued association with this event and providing us with the necessary logistical and institutional support to carry out our event. I also thankful the students, volunteers and rapporteurs of both the institutions. Your enthusiasm, professionalism and grace under the pressure made both the institution proud. As I convey my heartfelt thanks to technical and support staff who work behind the scenes, often invisibly and always indispensably, this conference would simply not have happened without you. Finally, my profound gratitude to every keynote speaker, session chair, presenter and delegate who brought their finest scholarship to this forum and made ILFMS 2026 the vibrant intellectual gathering it was. On behalf of the organizing committee, I look forward to welcome you all again at our future events. I sincerely extend my heartfelt apologies to all esteemed dignitaries, distinguished delegates and valued participants for any inconvenience or unforeseen mishap that may arise during the course of the conference. Despite my earnest efforts and best intentions to organize this international conference in a smooth and successful manner, if there are any shortcomings, lapses or errors on my part, I humbly seek your kind understanding and gracious forgiveness. I remain deeply committed to upholding the highest standards in hosting this event, and any oversight is sincerely regretted. Your continued support, encouragement and magnanimity will be highly appreciated. पृथिवी धार्यते सर्वं यदिदं भुवनत्रयं तस्य संरक्षणं कार्यं नित्यं सर्वहिताय वै. The earth sustains all the three worlds, heaven, earth and netherworld. Therefore, its protection is our constant duty for the welfare of all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we conclude, let us carry forward the ideas, discussions and commitments from this platform into meaningful actions for a more sustainable and just future. With this, we formally come to the close of the valedictory session and the 3-day international conference. Thank you very much.